Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a fairly quick video talking about some more books which I got for middle grade March 2025 for the prompt read a book in a series, as well as a couple of books I recently found from the library while browsing the shelves, and like some other books which I got from Amazon. Now, I originally first read this one. It's really fun, like a lower middle grade book. I would highly recommend it. Lots of cute illustrations too, for I believe it was middle grade March 2022, the first time I participated in that readathon. JD and the Great Barber Battle by Dillard. It's part of a series. There are 3 books in it, but unfortunately the library never got around to getting books 2 and 3, so I decided I like the story enough to want to continue reading it, so why not just buy all 3 of them together from Amazon. It's such a fun story, and I did have a little bit of a complaint, not really a complaint so much, but just like a critique. There are a lot of modern topical references, and of course, kids, preteens reading it within the next 5 years or whatever, they'll probably still know who these rappers and social media sites and television shows and whatever are, but it's just probably not going to age so well if these topical references, no one knows who they are in another generation. But not all writers, that they don't really particularly care so much about writing for all time, but it's a fun book, even if it only resonates with people for the references for their own current generation. I know I'm blabbing. What's wrong than a bad haircut? JD has a big problem. It's the night before the start of 3rd grade, and his mom has just given him his first and worst home haircut. When the steady stream of insults from the entire student body of Douglas Elementary becomes too much for JD, he takes matters into his own hands and discovers that, unlike his mom, he's a genius with the clippers. His work makes him the talk of the town and brings him enough hair business to open a barber shop from his bedroom. But when Henry Jr., the owner of the only official local barber shop, realizes he's losing clients to JD, he tries to shut him down for good. JD decides there's only one way to prove who's the best barber in all of Meridian, Mississippi. Let the people decide in a Great Barber Battle. And the illustrations are wonderful too. And this is, the second book looks thicker than the first one, but of course it's still lower middle grade JD and the family business. 8-year-old JD is a barber battle champion. He's graduated from home haircuts to having a regular chair at the neighborhood shop Hart & Son, and he's making enough money to keep his candy jar stocked and his comic book collection growing. And yet JD knows it's time for his next challenge. He doesn't just want to be the best barber in Meridian, Mississippi. He wants to be the best barber in the state, and maybe the country. When his older sister, Vanessa, starts to gain an online following for her hair tutorials, the kids decide they must join forces to truly level up. How do siblings with big personalities, big ambitions, and competitive spirits work together, or not, to take over the hair world? And the 3rd book is JD and the Hair Show Showdown. That's a little bit slimmer, more close to the length of the first book. JD the Kid Barber is the youngest barber to be invited to the Beauty Brothers Hair Expo in Atlanta. Wow, that's awesome. JD gets the VIP treatment. He takes his first flight, rides in a limo, and gets gifts from the sponsors. At the show, there are hair classes to take, product samples to try, and some of JD's favorite hair influencers to meet. And, of course, there's his own demo alongside kid hairstylist Isabel is incredible. But what JD is most excited about is snapping a pic with 11-year-old rap sensation Lil Easy Breezy, which is harder than it sounds. The world of hair and beauty is so much bigger than JD could have imagined, and he's ready to step up his game. It's a pity the author doesn't seem to have written any other books besides this. Hopefully he's working on some books in the meantime, because he definitely shows a lot of talent. I really enjoyed the first book. I'm just wondering why he didn't write anything more. And so this is one of the books I also got from Amazon. This is a classic of Serbian and Yugoslavian literature. Ivo Andrić, the C with the accent mark over it. It's a uniquely Serbian Cyrillic letter. It's kind of pronounced like a TSCH, kind of like that. But anyway, that's off topic. The Bridge on the Drina. This is he won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1961, and this also is one of his books. His third major novel. It wasn't available on Amazon. I know I'm blabbing. This is totally unscripted. But he definitely should be better like known in the West, and many like Westerners, like Americans in North America, they don't really know, to my knowledge, not that much about Serbian or South Slavic literature. Now hopefully that will change eventually. A vivid depiction of the suffering history has imposed upon the people of Bosnia from the late 16th century to the beginning of World War I. He was Croatian by birth, like ethnicity, but he grew up in like Bosnia, and he later came to identify himself as like Serbian to the core. He even explicitly disavowed Croatianism on at least 2 occasions. He definitely wanted to be known as a Serbian. Like that was just like where he came to like live and like culturally identify with. The Bridge on the Drina earned Andrić the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1961, and he published his 3 greatest novels in very, very quick succession. In 1945, he was working on them during World War II. A great stone bridge built 3 centuries ago in the heart of the Balkans by a Grand Vizier of the Ottoman Empire dominates the setting of Ivo Andrić's novel. Spanning generations, nationalities, and creeds, the bridge stands witness to the countless lives played out upon it, to Radislav, the workman, who tries to hinder its construction and is impaled alive on its highest point, to the lovely Fata, who throws herself from its parapet to escape a loveless marriage, to Milan, the gambler, who risks everything in one last game on the bridge with the devil, his opponent, to Feydun, the young soldier, who pays for a moment's spring forgetfulness with his life, or finally destroys the span, and with it the last descendant of that family to which the Grand Vizier confided the care of his pious bequest, the bridge. And this is one of his other great novels, Bosnian Chronicle. I believe its original name is Travnik Chronicle, but you know how people can sometimes get creative with translated titles. For example, Ivan Sergeyevich Turgenev's most famous novel, he's my 4th favorite writer, is frequently inaccurately translated into English as Fathers and Sons, but the actual Russian title is Fathers and Children, even though the only children in the book are sons. Set in the town of Travnik, Bosnian Chronicle presents the struggle for supremacy in a region that stubbornly refuses to submit to any outsider. The era is Napoleonic, and the novel, both in its historical scope and its psychological subtlety, Tolstoyan. In its portrayal of conflict and fierce ethnic loyalties, the story is also eerily relevant. Ottoman viziers, French consuls, and Austrian plenipotentiaries are consumed by an endless game of diplomacy and double-dealing, expansive and courtly face-to-face, brooding and scheming behind closed doors. As they have for centuries, the Bosnians themselves observe and endure the machinations of greater powers that vie futilely to absorb them. Ivo Andrić's masterwork is imbued with the richness and complexity of a region that has brought so much tragedy to our century and known so little peace. This is one of the books which I saw on one of the library displays. They like to group books by, their category, Japan, or just fantasy imaginings, different corners of the world, or themes, whatever, throughout the years. Just who could resist this really interesting sounding title, Sherlock Holmes, The Missing Years, Japan. It's 1893. King Kamehameha III of Hawaii declares Sovereignty Restoration Day. Tension grows between China and Japan over Korea. The Bengal famine worsens. A brilliant scientist in Calcutta challenges the system. The senior priest at Kyoto's Kinkaku-ji temple is found dead in mysterious circumstances. Dr. John H. Watson receives a strange letter from Yokohama. Then the quiet, distinguished Mr. Hashimoto is murdered inside a closed room on a voyage from Liverpool to Bombay. In the opium dens of Shanghai and in the back alleys of Tokyo, sinister men hatch evil plots. Professor Moriarty stalks the world, drawing out a map for worldwide domination. Only one man can outwit the diabolical Professor Moriarty. Only one man can save the world. Has Sherlock Holmes survived the Reichenbach Falls? In a serio-comic novel that radically ups the ante, Sherlock Holmes and Watson find their match in more than one man, or indeed woman, as the clock inexorably ticks. History, mystery, romance, conspiracies, knife-edge tension, a train in Russia, roadside crime in Alexandria, an upset stomach in Bombay, careening through Cambodia, nasty people in China, monks in Japan. Here's a thrilling global chase that will leave you breathless, occasionally with laughter, as the Sherlock Holmes The Missing Years series begins. Oh, interesting. And the author was born in Delhi, so that's, the Indian connection. I, love, everything, Indian, culture, history, religion, philosophy, music, food, and this is another one I saw on display, Beasts of a Little Land, Juhea, Kim In 1917, deep in the snowy mountains of occupied Korea, an impoverished local hunter on the brink of starvation saves a young Japanese officer from an attacking tiger. In an instant, their fates are connected, and from this encounter unfolds a saga that spans half a century. In the aftermath, a young girl named Jade is sold by her family to Madame Silver's courtesan school, an act of desperation that will cement her place in the lowest social status. When she befriends an orphan boy named Jung Ho, who scrapes together a living begging on the streets of Seoul, they form a deep friendship. As they come of age, Jung Ho is swept up in the revolutionary fight for independence, and Jade becomes a sought-after performer with the new romantic prospect of noble birth. Soon Jade must decide whether she will risk everything for the one who would do the same for her. From the perfumed chambers of a courtesan school in Pyongyang to the glamorous cafes of a modernizing Seoul and the boreal forests of Manchuria, where battles rage, Juhea Kim's unforgettable characters forge their own destinies as they wager their nations. Immersive and elegant, Beasts of a Little Land unveils a world where friends become enemies, enemies become saviors, heroes are persecuted, and beasts take many shapes. And this is the final book which I picked up. I could not resist it when I saw the Japanese name of the author. As I was just saying, I love like pretty much Japanese everything, and I believe I've seen this author's name mentioned on BookTube a number of times, although I can't like recall off of the top of my head the names of the books mentioned, but it does say on the flap the internationally acclaimed and best-selling author of IQ 84, but again I can't remember if that was the name of the book which I saw mentioned by him or not. In Killing Commendatore, a 30-something portrait painter in Tokyo is abandoned by his wife and finds himself holed up in the mountains, home of a famous artist, Tomohiko Amada. When he discovers a previously unseen painting in the attic, he unintentionally opens a circle of mysterious circumstances. To close it, he must complete a journey that involves a mysterious ringing bell, a 2-foot-high physical manifestation of an idea, a dapper businessman who lives across the valley, a precocious 13-year-old girl, a Nazi assassination attempt during World War II in Vienna, a pit in the woods behind the artist's home, and an underworld haunted by double metaphors, a tour de force of love and loneliness, war and art, as well as a loving homage to The Great Gatsby. I thought that book was overrated. Sorry, not sorry. Killing Commendatore is a stunning work of imagination from one of our greatest writers. Thank you very much for watching all the way through to the end. And please feel free to leave me a comment down below letting me know, have you guys ever read any of these books? Have you heard of them? Are you interested in reading them? What did you think of them? Are you familiar with like Serbian, Yugoslavian, or South Slavic literature, or like any other comments brought up by any of the books which I mentioned, or like modern Japanese and Korean literature? It would be fun to like maybe do a buddy read of either of these books with some people here on BookTube, but you know, like I've only ever done one buddy read ever in my 3.5 years on here, so I'll probably just, you know, end up reading them by myself, but you know, hope springs eternal. So, and I really do appreciate seeing comments from you guys, even though I have a very small channel. It like gives me greater motivation to keep making videos and upping my, you know, like editing and like video making content and such. Again, when I see people, they're watching all the way through and they're like personally connecting enough with me and my content to like want to leave a comment instead of just like, you know, dropping a like or only watching like a minute or so of the video. So again, thank you guys very much for watching. I will see you soon. Bye.